What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another brand new installment of For the Love of Wrestling. I, of course, am your host, the Renegade of Wrestling, JJ Williams. Happy Wednesday. It is Dynamite Day today, but that is this evening, this morning, this afternoon for you East Coasters. We've got to get through NXT Spring Breakin'. I'm going to go ahead and apologize right now. I will not be reviewing NWA Powerrr today, as yesterday, of course, Spring Breakin', we had the watch along here across the multiverse of media. So I watched it live to the East Coast, called the action along with Noah Foster. Then I had to watch it again during the West Coast run so I could take my notes and everything for today. Too exhausted after everything, but I will have my review of Powerrr tomorrow morning along with AEW Dynamite. That all said, let's get into Spring Breakin'. We kicked off the show with Ava backstage along with Adam Pearce and Nick Aldis via like a Zoom call. And they're talking about Ava's success as general manager of the NXT brand. They're talking about some of the potential on the roster. Adam Pearce heavily interested in some of the women on the roster. Nick Aldis says he's going to be paying very close attention to the main event. You know, kind of alluding to who could be drafted from NXT up to Raw and or SmackDown. And then we got a comment from Ava about regardless of who leaves, it's about who on the current roster is going to step up and fill those positions. And she says that NXT will never be the same after tonight. Very good promo here from all three to get the interest going in the show. And then we went out to the ring and we started right off with the NXT Women's Championship match. Lyra Valkyria and Tatum Paxley taking on Roxanne Perez, triple threat match. This was just a fantastic match here to kick the show off. Terrific triple threat action from three phenomenal women, showing why the NXT roster is the second best women's division in the States, only behind the Knockouts, and they're inching ever closer up to the same level as the Knockouts. If they can keep going the way they're going, they will be tied with the Knockout division before too long here. And I know that's hard to hear for some of the TNA faithful, but it's facts. As we got towards the end of the match here, Tatum Paxley hit kind of a modified Juggernaut driver, which, of course, speaking of the Impacts, that's Jordan Grace's finisher. Follows it up with a 450 splash. She thinks she's about to get it, but Roxanne Perez slithers into the ring, hits a jackknife pin onto Tatum Paxley to retain her title. But for how long? Roxanne Perez isn't called the Prodigy for no reason. She is arguably the best female wrestler that is down there right now, and a heavy favorite to get drafted come the draft either Friday on SmackDown or Monday on Raw. From there, we go back to the locker room, and the focus is on Thea Hale, Fallon Henley, and Kaylani Jordan. And Thea's kind of getting pumped up about the fact that she's finally got JC Jane one-on-one next week on Spring Breakin'. Really looking forward to that match and seeing how the feud here continues. Thea talking about how It's so great to have the support of Fallon and Kaylani and other women in the locker room. And as all this is going on, Jada Parker, who's kind of sitting back there, decides that she wants to insert herself in the conversation and directs her venom at Fallon Henley for constantly getting involved into stuff that she doesn't need to be in, not minding her own business. And so we get this interaction. And at first, I thought they were going to do this match next week and put it on to Spring Break in night 2. But no, we get it confirmed later in the night that this match will be happening on night 1 of Spring Break-In. We then get a vignette for a new tag team debuting next week. I didn't catch their names, unfortunately. During the live watch along, I had the volume down, so I couldn't really hear it. And during the West Coast feed, I was doing dishes at this point, getting the chores done. But Tyreek and Tyson, I believe, are their first names. I didn't pick up their last names. I didn't catch if they had a team name or anything. But a new tag team is going to be debuting next week on night 2 of Spring Break-In. Apparently, they've done some work on NXT Level Up and have shown promise down there. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do on the main NXT show. Not trying to stereotype or anything, but they definitely give me a Crime Time-esque type of vibe, just in the way they were presented in their vignette. So it's gonna be interesting to see what happens here. We then go backstage, and the Creed brothers and Ivy Nile are here this week. They are giving their thoughts on the Trick versus Dragunov match. And this was the first of quite a few NXT alumni that we're going to see popping up throughout the show here. Cool to see the Creeds and Ivy Nile backstage at an NXT show. And then interesting, I thought, I'm not sure if this was accidental or if this was intentional in the layout of the show, but we went from them to our 6-man tag match, the D'Angelo family versus the No Quarter Catch crew. And the reason I found this interesting is because Damon Kemp from the No Quarter Catch crew used to be part of the Diamond Mine back in the day, along with the Creed brothers, Ivy Nile, and Roderick Strong. So I really wonder if Shawn Michaels and whoever did the layout for the show did that on purpose or if it was just a coincidence. But the D'Angelo family versus the No Quarter Catch crew, hard fought, high action 6-man tag. Tony D hit a pop-up spine buster onto Charlie Dempsey in order to secure the win for his team. Big victory for the D'Angelo family here, who, of course, the storyline is that they took out Drew Gulak for the No Quarter Catch crew, finding their way to get Gulak off of television because of the Ronda Rousey allegations. We then go backstage and we get Baron Corbin, and he's kind of being photographed, interviewed by this cameraman regarding Braun's speech last week, Braun Breaker's retirement speech. And if you had any idea that he knew what he was going to say, whatever, Lexis Keene ends up crashing the party here. And Lexis Keene basically is like, well, I heard rumors that you're going to be leaving. So I brought you this basket, this gift basket. And inside it is a t-shirt, an 8x10, a cup, And Baron Corbin's like, I don't know who you heard this information from, but I'm not going anywhere. I'm sure Lexus is alluding to the impending draft, and maybe Baron Corbin will get drafted to wherever Braun Breaker goes so that they can do the Wolf Dogs on the main roster. I personally don't think it's a good idea because we all know the inevitable is going to happen. The Wolf Dogs will have a run on the main roster. They might last 6 months to a year, and then they'll break them up so that Braun can go solo and achieve his full potential, and then Baron Corbin's back in catering, doing nothing on the main roster. He's really been able to shine down here in NXT. He's really been able to reinvent himself down here in NXT, and I think he needs to stay down here for at least another year to really help redefine his character. From there, we go to the match of Jada Parker and Fallon Henley. This was a decent match between these two. It wasn't horrible, but it wasn't as good as the women's title match at the start of the show. Jada picked up the victory here, and then for whatever reason, after the victory, Jada Parker snatched her weave off and threw it on the ground. I thought it was hilarious. I'm not sure what inspired her to do it, but I kind of want to see it keep happening after she gets a win. I just think it would be funny to help elevate her a little bit and bring eyes to her. Of course, Jada Parker, the female part of OTM, Out the Mud, along with Lucian Price, Bronco Nima, and Scripts. So we'll see. Maybe in a couple of weeks we'll get Jada versus Kaylani coming out of that big thing that went backstage here. We then had JC Jane cut a promo on Thea Hale and basically calling her ungrateful for everything that she did, how she tried to make Thea Hale everything she ever wanted to be. And this is the gratitude that she gets. Solid heel promo here from JC, really added a little bit more layers and depth to their already long-standing rivalry here. We then get a Lola Vice versus Natalia hype video as we get ready to set up the contract signing for the NXT Underground match that's going to happen next week on night 2 of Spring Breakin'. We go backstage and they're talking with JD McDonough, another NXT alumni, regarding the Trick Williams and Ilya Dragunov match. And of course, JD being the heel is going for Ilya Dragunov here, saying that Trick doesn't have it in him. The only way you can beat Ilya is if you kill him. And Trick's not that guy. He doesn't have it in him to do it. JD leaves, and we turn the camera, and here comes the New Catch Republic. Tyler Bate and Pete Dunne. A couple of more alumni. Of course, Tyler Bate just recently went up to the roster within the last 6 months. Pete Dunne, the bruiserweight. Cool to see them give their take. Tyler Bates trying to get Pete Dunne to do the whole whoop that trick, and Pete Dunne just refuses and walks away. We then get the NXT Underground contract signing segment. And Natalia comes out with Carmen Petrovich, who's going to be in her corner for the Underground match. Lola Vice comes out on her own and basically gets into Natty's head a little bit here. You know, talking about how she may have a nice ass, but that doesn't mean that she's not a badass. That she doesn't mean that she can't kick your ass. And talks about how Natty is more focused about who's going to be in her corner than what she's got to do to beat Lola Vice. Lola Vice, an ex-mixed martial arts fighter. Natty, of course, student of the Hart Family Dungeon, one of the few, if not the only woman to ever graduate the dungeon. So Natty is submissions expert in her own right, but is she going to be able to keep up with Lola Vice and her mixed martial arts training? especially when we find out that in Lola's corner is going to be none other than the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler. Huge coup for Lola Vice there. The Queen of Hearts and the Queen of Spades going to be on opposite ends of the ring. Definitely looking forward to this match now. Even more so than I already was now that they've added Shayna Baszler to the mix. And the response she got from the NXT crowd was electric. We then get Ridge Holland and Shawn Spears outside of the Performance Center. Ridge is kind of like talking to the camera, cutting a promo, and Shawn Spears comes in and keeps trying to poke and prod and get into Ridge's head to try to get him to unleash his rage. We get a Final Testament vignette. And then we go backstage to the locker room, and Nathan Frazier and Axiom are kind of in the tag team locker room. And they start talking about how they're tired of the main roster guys trying to come down and get a shot at the tag titles. Malik Blade and Idris Enofe are back there. The LWO are back there. You've got Hank and Tank back there. In come the Good Brothers. And they start kind of mocking Frazier and Axiom for the whole tired of the main roster coming down here trying to get the titles. I couldn't tell if it was Enofe or Blade, but one of them tries to step to the Good Brothers, ends up dropping and breaking a mirror. Of course, the superstition, 7 years of bad luck. How's that going to play into things? We then had our beach brawl match, Blair Davenport versus Sol Ruca. This was just a totally fun match. I heard people criticize it, and I really had to try to break it down for them. Sol Ruca's gimmick is that of a beach bunny. She's a surfer girl. So a beach brawl totally made sense to her gimmick. And Blair Davenport, while she definitely could use the victory here and should be doing a lot better than she has been, is basically that bar, that measuring stick right now in NXT. She's that female that they put people up against to see if they're really that good or if they need a lot more work. And Blair Davenport has done a tremendous job with these women down there. She could very easily be rewarded with a draft up to the main roster, or they may keep her down there to keep working with some of these girls. Either way, I'm good with that. Sol Ruca got the victory here via the Soul Snatcher, her finishing move. But it was just a really fun match. Perfectly themed for Sol Ruca's character, perfectly themed for the spring break event. Not every match has to be Ospreay versus Danielson. There's room for fun and entertainment in professional wrestling, and that's exactly what this was. And these two women did it great to my satisfaction, at least. We then go backstage, and Trick is on the phone with his mom. Apparently his mom's in the hospital. Not sure what's wrong with her, but hopefully she gets better soon. And in comes Johnny Gargano. And Johnny Gargano kind of gives Trick this pep talk, trying to remind him that, yeah, maybe you've fought and you've lost to Ilya before, but that's not the same Trick Williams that's sitting here today. You need to take those losses. You need to take the betrayal at the hands of Carmelo Hayes. You need to use that anger to propel you and turn it into your weapon. Very much akin to, and I know I wasn't watching back in these days, but Noah confirmed this on the commentary yesterday, but very much akin to the Gargano-Ciampa feud that we had in NXT. That it looks like they may be getting ready to redo on the main roster. Trick is in the Gargano role, and Melo is in the Ciampa role. And Trick just needs to use all of that anger that he has from being betrayed by Melo, take it out on Ilya in a controlled fashion, to where he can end up becoming the champion. But before we get to the main event, we have Baron Corbin versus Lexis King. Solid contest here for our main event. Baron made the Lexis King look really good. Lexis King got the victory here. Not a real surprise. Hopefully Corbin doesn't go on a major losing streak, but I'd like to see him kind of get 50-50 booking here. You know, going forward, he doesn't have to win every match, but he shouldn't lose every match either. Main event, of course, was Trick Williams challenging Ilya Dragunov for the victory. If you saw the video, excuse me, the video graphic, then you know how this ended. Trick Williams is our new champion. Tremendous contest here. Dragunov hit the Constantine special very early in the match. It wasn't enough. Trick pulled out a few tricks of his own, hitting Ilya with the H-bomb and the Torpedo Moscow, both signature moves of Ilya Dragunov. I'm sure that caught Ilya off guard when he got hit with those. Ilya then delivered a couple H-bombs of his own, one off the second rope, one off the top rope. But at the end of the day, it was the trick knee that caught Ilya Dragunov, picking up the victory for Williams and our new champion. Referee went to go get the belt to give it to Trick. Ilya snatched it out of his hands, presented it to him himself. The two men then embraced in the ring before Ilya rolled out of the ring, allowing Trick to have his moment in his celebration. Just tremendous action here. Trick Williams is definitely the future. Not going to be surprised if Ilya gets drafted to Raw or SmackDown. We did see him on the Raw after Mania, along with Roxanne Perez. Both of them defending their championships, both of them victorious in those matches. But yeah, bright things ahead for Ilya Dragunov. I give this show a 9 out of 10. It was just freaking phenomenal. And that's all I really have to say about that. I'm going to take a moment, run our watch-along trailer here, everything that you can see us covering across the multiverse of media. Come back, do our shows, and we'll get out of here. Stay tuned.
And now, preview time. So let's take a look at what's coming your way.
And we are back. So yeah, that just about wraps things up for NXT. Again, I apologize for not reviewing NWA Powerrr today. I just didn't have the time to watch it, but it will be watched and will be reviewed tomorrow along with AEW Dynamite. Make sure you guys come back next Tuesday, 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern, as Noah and I call night 2 of Spring Breakin'. Looking forward to what they've got in store there. We know Obafemi will be defending the North American title against Ivar. We know that Axiom and Nathan Frazier will be defending the NXT tag titles against AOP. We know Thea Hill will take on JC Jane. And we also know that Natalya will take on Lola Vice in the Underground match. And I'm sure they'll add a couple other things during the course of the show. Make sure you guys tune in to the Greg Cherry Show today, 4 o'clock Pacific, 7 o'clock Eastern, on the Greg Cherry brand, as well as the Jeff Meacham Network. Greg's going to be up to his normal antics and shenanigans. You never know exactly what he's going to be discussing. And then, like I said, come back tomorrow, same bad time, same bad channel, for my review of AEW Dynamite along with NWA Powerrr. Thank you all for joining me and tuning in today. I greatly appreciate it, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
The Jeff Meacham Network's Multiverse of Media. For over 15 years, the recognized symbol of excellence and the standard bearer in coverage of sports and entertainment.
Thank you, JJ. Appreciate you.